Nobody in crypto is truly ready for what could happen next. Right now, behind closed doors in Washington, lawmakers, regulators, banks, and billion-dollar institutions are preparing for a moment that could completely change the future of XRP and the entire crypto market forever. The Clarity Act is no longer just another crypto bill being discussed online. This is becoming one of the most important financial decisions the United States has made in years. And if this law finally passes, many analysts believe the long crypto winter could end almost instantly. We could witness one of the biggest wealth transfer moments in modern financial history. Retail investors are watching carefully, institutions are preparing quietly, and XRP holders are waiting for the moment that could finally unlock real utility and mass adoption. Welcome back to XRP Gold-Silver_Scope, where we break down the biggest XRP developments, institutional moves, crypto regulation updates, and the future of digital finance in simple and easy English. Over the last few years, crypto investors have suffered through market crashes, fear, uncertainty, exchange collapses, lawsuits, and endless delays in regulation. Many people believed the bull market would never return. But now, something major is happening behind the scenes. Powerful voices inside the crypto industry are openly saying that if the Clarity Act passes, prices across the crypto market could explode toward new all-time highs. And this time, the excitement is not only coming from retail traders. It is coming from institutions, lawmakers, and major financial companies that are preparing for the next stage of digital asset adoption. One of the biggest discussions happening right now is how the Clarity Act could finally create official rules for crypto companies, banks, exchanges, and digital assets inside the United States. For years, one of the biggest problems facing crypto has been confusion. Companies never knew exactly which regulator was in charge. Investors never knew which projects could be considered securities or commodities. This uncertainty slowed down innovation and scared large financial institutions away from fully entering the market. But now, lawmakers are attempting to create a framework that could finally remove much of this confusion. Several political leaders involved in the discussions have warned that the process is not over yet. There are still debates happening inside Congress, and there are still votes that must take place before anything becomes law. Some lawmakers believe the process could take several more weeks, while others believe delays are still possible. But despite the uncertainty, excitement continues to grow because many people believe the market is preparing early for what could become a historic moment for crypto adoption. What makes this situation even more interesting is that major banks are reportedly becoming more aggressive against the bill. According to several industry leaders, traditional financial institutions are beginning to openly resist crypto-friendly legislation because they understand how powerful blockchain technology could become. For years, banks were able to ignore crypto or dismiss it as temporary speculation. But now, they are realizing blockchain technology may completely reshape payments, settlements, banking systems, tokenization, and financial infrastructure itself. Industry leaders have described this moment as the mask-off phase, where traditional banks are no longer hiding their concerns. They understand that blockchain technology cannot simply be stopped. Innovation continues moving forward whether institutions like it or not. The technology already exists, companies are already building on it, and governments around the world are already studying how to integrate blockchain into their financial systems. Even if resistance continues, many believe adoption is now inevitable. At the same time, political pressure surrounding crypto is becoming stronger than ever before. New polling data suggests that crypto holders are becoming an extremely powerful voting group in American politics. Large numbers of crypto investors say they are paying close attention to crypto regulation, and many are even willing to change their political support depending on whether politicians support digital assets or not. This is becoming a major issue because elections are heavily influenced by motivated voters, and crypto communities have become highly active online and politically engaged. This growing political influence could become extremely important for XRP holders specifically. Unlike many crypto projects, XRP has spent years trapped in regulatory battles and uncertainty. Ripple fought a long legal battle with the SEC, and despite major progress, institutions still need clear rules before large-scale adoption can fully begin. That is why many XRP supporters believe the Clarity Act could become a massive turning point. If the law creates clear legal frameworks for digital assets, banks and financial institutions may finally feel comfortable using XRP at larger scale inside payment systems and settlement networks. And this is where things become very important. Many people still think crypto is only about trading coins and making profits. But behind the scenes, the real battle is about infrastructure. Blockchain technology is now moving far beyond speculation. Companies are exploring tokenized assets, digital identity systems, healthcare records, treasury settlements, supply chain systems, cross-border payments, and secure data protection. The financial system itself is slowly evolving toward blockchain integration. Several experts now believe future banking systems may rely heavily on blockchain rails to move value faster, cheaper, and more securely than traditional systems. This is one reason XRP continues attracting attention. XRP was designed specifically for fast settlement and efficient value transfer. While Bitcoin remains the largest crypto asset by market cap, many XRP supporters believe utility-based digital assets could eventually become the true backbone of future financial infrastructure. At the same time, investors are beginning to understand that regulation may not slow crypto down anymore. Instead, regulation could actually unlock the next phase of growth. Once legal frameworks become clear, institutions managing billions or even trillions of dollars may finally begin entering the space more aggressively. And when institutional money enters markets at scale, price movements can become massive. Right now, markets remain extremely sensitive to every new update coming from Capitol Hill. Every statement from lawmakers, regulators, and financial leaders is being watched closely. Investors understand that this is no longer only about short-term price action. This is about positioning for the next decade of digital finance. And if the Clarity Act moves forward successfully, the impact on XRP and the wider crypto market could be far bigger than most people currently realize. One of the biggest reasons the crypto community is watching the Clarity Act so closely is because this bill could finally connect the crypto industry with traditional finance in a way we have never seen before. For years, banks and large institutions stayed cautious because the rules around digital assets were unclear. Even companies that wanted to work with blockchain technology often avoided moving forward because they feared future legal problems or regulatory action. But now, many insiders believe the market is approaching a major turning point where regulation could actually accelerate adoption instead of slowing it down. Behind the scenes, some of the largest financial companies in the world are already experimenting with blockchain technology. Tokenized assets, digital settlements, smart contracts, and cross-border payment systems are no longer just ideas being discussed online. They are already being tested quietly by major institutions. This is one reason why XRP supporters remain extremely optimistic about the future. XRP was created to solve real financial problems involving speed, liquidity, and settlement efficiency. If global finance begins shifting toward blockchain-based systems, assets with strong utility could suddenly become far more important than most people expect. Several experts now believe the future financial system may look completely different from what we use today. Instead of relying on slow international banking systems that take days to settle transactions, blockchain networks could process transfers within seconds. Costs could become dramatically lower, and settlement systems could operate 24 hours a day without traditional banking limitations. This is why so many institutions are exploring blockchain infrastructure right now. They understand that speed, security, and efficiency will become extremely valuable in the future digital economy. Another major discussion happening right now involves digital asset custody and banking integration. If the Clarity Act officially defines how digital assets can operate within the banking system, institutions may finally gain the confidence to hold and use crypto assets more openly. This could create enormous demand for regulated digital assets, especially ones already connected to real-world financial use cases. Many XRP supporters believe this is where XRP could benefit massively because Ripple has spent years building relationships with banks, payment companies, and financial institutions around the world. There is also growing excitement surrounding the possibility of future crypto exchange-traded funds that may eventually include XRP alongside other digital assets. At the moment, Bitcoin and Ethereum dominate institutional investment products, but several multi-asset crypto ETF applications are already waiting for regulatory approval. If regulatory clarity improves, more investment firms may begin offering exposure to XRP and other utility-focused digital assets. This would allow institutional investors to gain access to XRP through regulated financial products, potentially creating major buying pressure in the market. What makes this situation even more interesting is that many analysts believe institutional adoption has not truly started yet. Yes, large companies have entered crypto headlines before, but most experts believe the financial industry is still in the early stages of blockchain integration. Much of the current activity remains experimental. Financial institutions are testing systems, studying risks, building partnerships, and preparing infrastructure. But widespread implementation cannot fully happen until regulators provide clearer guidance. That is why the Clarity Act is receiving so much attention. At the same time, blockchain technology itself continues evolving beyond simple payments. Industry leaders are now discussing how blockchain could secure healthcare records, government documents, military data, insurance systems, digital identities, and sensitive personal information. As artificial intelligence becomes more advanced and cyber threats continue growing, secure blockchain infrastructure may become increasingly valuable. Some experts believe blockchain technology will eventually protect critical systems in ways traditional databases cannot. This growing importance of blockchain security is one reason governments and institutions are taking the technology far more seriously now. Digital assets are no longer viewed only as speculative investments. They are beginning to be viewed as technological infrastructure. That shift changes everything. Once governments and institutions start viewing blockchain as critical infrastructure rather than temporary speculation, long-term adoption becomes far more likely. For XRP holders, this creates a very important narrative. Many investors believe XRP is positioned directly in the middle of this transition toward blockchain-powered finance. Ripple's focus on payments, liquidity solutions, and financial integration gives XRP a unique position compared to many other cryptocurrencies that mainly rely on hype or speculation. XRP supporters often argue that real utility will eventually matter more than market excitement alone. Another major point investors are discussing right now is the difference between speculation and utility pricing. For years, much of the crypto market has been driven by hype cycles, fear, leverage trading, and speculation. But many long-term investors believe the next phase of the market could involve real usage-driving value. In other words, instead of prices moving only because traders are excited, prices could eventually rise because networks are actually processing large amounts of real-world value. This is exactly why many XRP holders remain patient despite years of frustration. They believe the market has not yet seen true utility adoption at scale. Many financial institutions may be testing systems today, but large-scale implementation still depends on regulation, infrastructure, and legal clarity. Once those pieces finally come together, supporters believe XRP could enter an entirely different phase of adoption. Meanwhile, political momentum around crypto continues growing rapidly. Lawmakers are beginning to realize that crypto investors represent a powerful and highly motivated group of voters. Politicians who openly support blockchain innovation may gain significant support from younger investors and technology-focused communities. On the other hand, politicians seen as hostile toward crypto may face growing criticism from digital asset supporters. This political pressure is helping push crypto regulation higher on the national agenda. Industry leaders are lobbying heavily for clear rules because they understand how important the next few years may become. The companies building blockchain infrastructure today could become some of the most powerful financial technology firms of the future. Governments know this, institutions know this, and investors know this too. At the same time, opposition remains strong. Critics continue raising concerns about investor protection, financial stability, fraud prevention, and market oversight. Traditional banking interests also remain cautious because blockchain systems could disrupt existing financial models. But despite the resistance, momentum behind digital assets continues growing globally. Countries around the world are exploring tokenization, central bank digital currencies, blockchain settlements, and digital payment systems. The United States now faces pressure to remain competitive in this rapidly changing environment. And this is why the Clarity Act matters so much to XRP holders. Many investors believe this is not simply another political debate. They believe this could become the foundation for the next phase of institutional crypto adoption inside the United States. If clear legal frameworks are finally established, it may unlock opportunities that the crypto industry has been waiting years to see. Right now, markets remain uncertain, volatility remains high, and nothing is guaranteed. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The battle over crypto regulation is no longer a small niche issue. It is becoming part of a much larger global fight over the future of finance, technology, data security, and digital infrastructure. And XRP continues sitting directly in the center of that conversation. As the crypto market waits for the final outcome of the Clarity Act, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. The financial world is changing faster than most people realize. Behind the scenes, institutions are preparing, governments are studying blockchain technology, and major companies are building systems that could eventually reshape how money moves across the planet. What once looked like a small experiment created by internet developers is now evolving into a global financial transformation, and XRP continues to remain one of the most talked about digital assets connected to that future. Many investors now believe the next crypto bull market will not look like the last one. Previous cycles were heavily driven by hype, speculation, memes, and retail excitement. But this time, the conversation is becoming far more serious. We are now hearing discussions about tokenized assets, digital settlements, blockchain security, institutional custody, payment infrastructure, and real-world utility. This is no longer only about traders trying to flip coins for quick profits. Large financial institutions are beginning to prepare for long-term blockchain integration, and this is exactly why so many XRP holders are paying close attention to regulation. XRP already has speed, scalability, low transaction costs, and strong utility potential. But without proper legal frameworks, institutions cannot fully commit billions of dollars into blockchain systems connected to digital assets. Banks need rules. Financial firms need compliance. Governments need oversight. Once those pieces are officially established, many believe the floodgates for adoption could finally begin opening. Several market analysts now argue that regulatory clarity could become one of the biggest catalysts the crypto industry has ever seen. The moment institutions gain confidence that digital assets can operate legally inside the financial system, capital may begin flowing into the market at levels never seen before. This is why so many investors believe the Clarity Act could eventually trigger a completely different environment for crypto adoption. For XRP specifically, the stakes are enormous. Ripple has spent years building infrastructure, partnerships, and payment solutions while also fighting regulatory battles at the same time. Few crypto projects have faced as much legal pressure and public scrutiny as XRP. But despite all of that, XRP has remained one of the strongest and most recognized digital assets in the industry. Many supporters believe that if XRP survived years of lawsuits and uncertainty, it may become even stronger once legal clarity finally arrives. At the same time, investors must remain realistic. Nothing moves in a straight line. Even if the Clarity Act progresses successfully, volatility will still exist. The crypto market will continue experiencing corrections, fear, and emotional reactions. Prices can move aggressively in both directions. That is why experienced investors always focus on long-term positioning rather than emotional short-term decisions. Smart money usually prepares before the biggest moves happen, not after headlines explode across social media. Another important factor many people overlook is global competition. The race toward blockchain adoption is not happening only in the United States. Countries around the world are investing heavily into digital finance, tokenization, artificial intelligence, and blockchain infrastructure. Governments understand that the future economy may operate very differently from today's systems. Whoever leads this technological transformation could gain massive financial and strategic advantages in the future global economy. This is why the next few years could become historic for digital assets. We may eventually look back at this period as the moment when blockchain moved from speculation into real infrastructure. Many people still underestimate how much the financial world could change once tokenized assets, digital settlements, and blockchain security systems become more widely adopted. The companies and networks building today may become the financial giants of tomorrow. For XRP holders, patience may continue becoming one of the most important qualities. Many people expected instant results years ago, but large financial transitions take time. Banks move slowly, governments move slowly, regulations move slowly. But once institutional systems begin shifting, the scale of adoption can become enormous. That is why many long-term XRP supporters continue focusing on the bigger picture rather than temporary market fear. And perhaps the biggest thing happening right now is awareness. Millions of people who once ignored crypto are now paying attention. Politicians are discussing digital assets publicly. Financial news channels are debating blockchain technology daily. Major corporations are exploring tokenization. Asset managers are studying crypto investment products. Step by step, digital assets are becoming part of the mainstream financial conversation. Whether someone supports Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, or other blockchain networks, one reality is becoming increasingly clear. Crypto is no longer disappearing. Blockchain technology is continuing to expand into finance, payments, data security, and global infrastructure. The real question now is not whether adoption will happen. The real question is how fast it will happen once regulation finally catches up with innovation. And if the Clarity Act eventually becomes law, many believe the next chapter for XRP could look very different from the past few years. Instead of endless legal uncertainty and hesitation, the focus may finally shift toward utility, partnerships, institutional use, and large-scale financial integration. That is the future many XRP investors have been waiting for. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you support XRP gold_silver_scope by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss the latest XRP updates, crypto regulation news, and institutional adoption analysis. The next few months could become some of the most important moments in crypto history, and you definitely do not want to miss what happens next.